There are moments in human history when a single sentence becomes a lightning bolt, splitting time into before and after. A sentence that does not merely echo in the air, but reshapes the spirit of everyone who hears it. For Muhammad Ali, that moment arrived on February 25, 1964, when a young, loud, unstoppable fighter, still known as Cassius Clay, shocked the world by defeating Sonny Liston. And with sweat dripping from his face, disbelief in the crowd, and a boxing world turned upside down, he declared, "I shook up the world." But what does this quote really mean? Why has it survived decades? Why does it still inspire millions? Today, we dive deep, not only into the man who said it, but into the mindset, the struggle, the fire, and the legacy behind the most explosive declaration in sports history. The Night the World Stood Still, Soft Drums, Atmospheric Tension, Miami, 1964. The world expected Cassius Clay to fall. He was too young, too loud, too confident, too unpredictable. Sports writers mocked him, bookmakers doubted him, the boxing world dismissed him, but Ali didn't just walk into that ring to win a fight. He walked in to rewrite destiny. The stadium roared as Sonny Liston, feared, brutal, powerful, glared across the ring. Clay's legs bounced lightly, his smile unshaken, his words repeated like a prophecy. "I'm gonna shock the world." And round after round, he did. Liston's punches cut the air. Clay danced, Clay stung, Clay moved like a force guided by fate itself. When Liston refused to continue the fight, history cracked open. The underdog had become the king. Reporters rushed in, cameras flashed, chaos erupted, and in the middle of it all, the young champion shouted, "I shook up the world!" It wasn't just a statement, it was a revolution. The boy who was told to stay quiet, reflective music, slow piano. Before he was Muhammad Ali, before the world crowned him the greatest, he was just a kid from Louisville, Kentucky. A boy living in a segregated America. A boy told what he couldn't do, where he couldn't go, who he couldn't be. He grew up in a world that said, "You are less. You are limited. Know your place." But Ali refused to accept the script written for him. He rewrote his own. When his bike was stolen at age 12, he didn't cry. He didn't complain. He marched to a boxing gym and vowed to whoop the thief. What he discovered wasn't revenge. It was purpose. He learned discipline. He learned courage. He learned that life will knock you down, but greatness begins when you stand back up. The world would one day hear his voice echo across continents. But back then, he was just a boy who refused to stay quiet. "I am the greatest," before he was great, upbeat rise, confident music. The world thought he was arrogant. They said he was too loud, too proud, too dramatic. But Ali wasn't being arrogant. He was building belief. Saying, "I am the greatest," wasn't ego. It was self-creation. It was mental engineering. It was the foundation of everything he would become. He spoke greatness before he lived it. Most people wait for proof. Ali created the proof. His words were not predictions, they were commitments. And when he said he would shock the world, he meant it. The transformation into Muhammad Ali, a mystic, powerful tone. After Liston, the world saw a champion. But Ali saw something deeper. He embraced Islam. He embraced his identity. He embraced the freedom to define himself. The name Muhammad Ali wasn't just a religious choice. It was a reclaiming of dignity, a step into spiritual liberation, an act of courage in a time when such choices carried consequences. And the world shook again. Because Ali refused to be shaped by society, he shaped society with his courage. The price of standing for truth, somber, emotional music. Ali was not only a boxer, he was a voice, a leader, a man who refused to betray his principles. When he was drafted for the Vietnam War, he said, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." And with that one sentence, he shook up the world again. But this time, the world hit back. He lost his title. He lost his license. He lost millions. He was banned from boxing in the prime of his career. Most would have broken. Ali didn't. He stood like a mountain. He paid the price for his beliefs. He proved that greatness is not measured in punches, but in principles. The comeback that defined a legend, music swelling, triumphant. When Ali returned, he was not just a fighter. He was a global symbol of resilience. He stood against war, racism, injustice, and silence. He fought Joe Frazier. He fought George Foreman. He fought age. He fought his own body. And in every fight, he repeated the same message that started it all. A man can shake the world if he refuses to surrender. The rumble in the jungle, the thriller in Manila. These were not boxing matches. These were epics, battles of spirit, moments where Ali showed the world that courage does not fade with pain, that the human soul is stronger than the human body. Why I Shook Up the World still matters today. Soft inspiration music. This quote survives because it is more than history. It is a personal challenge. I shook up the world means you can rise even when no one believes in you. You can transform your life even when the odds crush others. You can move mountains even when the world tells you to stay quiet. Ali's words are not about boxing. They're about becoming someone impossible to ignore. He proved that greatness is not a destination. It is a decision. It is the daily choice to walk into the ring of life, work, struggle, fear, and fight anyway. The legacy of a world shaker. Cinematic rise, emotional peak. Ali left behind more than championship belts. He left behind a blueprint for courage, a roadmap to greatness, a fire that still burns in millions of hearts. He showed us that you don't need permission to dream. You don't need applause to start. You don't need to be accepted to rise. You only need belief, because when belief becomes action and action becomes destiny, you will shake up your world too. Music slowing, deep and powerful. Muhammad Ali was more than a champion, more than a boxer, more than an athlete. He was a force, a storm, a revolution wrapped in human skin. And with one sentence spoken from the heart of a young fighter who refused to bow, he reminded us that each of us carries the power to transform our reality. I shook up the world. The question now is, when will you shake up yours?